talking about something that is unfortunately super common right now, and that is traumatic business events. With the economy turning down pretty drastically, with inflation being up, with oh my gosh, all sorts of things changing after COVID. We've just been through COVID. We've been through a lot of political turmoil. We've been through all these natural disaster events. Our climate is, going not that well. All that kind of stuff is happening right now. And businesses are definitely going through a hard time. And some of them are going through a hard, unexpected time that I think about as an event. It's like maybe their business was sort of going down in revenue a bit over the last couple of years, but then right now it's turned down really hard, kind of making it a big event. Other people have had things happen in the external environment, like people that are dependent on a company that is having major cutbacks, and suddenly, they had a lot of business with a big client and now they don't. Other businesses are going through traumas that have to do with their people. This is, we're coming to the other side of the great resignation, but apparently it's not exactly over. Like, people have different expectations coming out of the pandemic about how they want to work than when they went in. And businesses are not totally ready to cope with that yet. So we know of quite a few companies that are sort of struggling, where the management and the team members are kind of like, trying to find some kind of common ground for return to office, but they're not finding it. It's turning into big arguments and more people leaving, and it's just a really hard time. So when we have traumatic business events, how I think of it is, it's kind of like the business or the environment, whatnot. It all is kind of on fire. Like, it's on fire. Like, you have flames at your back, and you have to do something different. And there's not that many good options. That's what makes it so traumatic. If there were a lot of good options, it wouldn't really be, it wouldn't be traumatic. Okay. But when there's not a lot of good options, people have to make a drastic change, a big change. Usually it's a traumatic change. And I think of it in this case as they're having to, leave their current business. That's this shore, right? They're like, they've got their own shore and their business is on it. They have to leave this, and they have to jump into some big whitewater rapids. Okay. If you're a rafter, these are like class 5 rapids. They're like a big deal. Or class 10 rapids. I don't even know if there's such a thing. But the thing is that you're going to leave this trauma, but you don't get to just, cruise. You don't get to hop on a cruise boat. That's not what happens. So you have to jump into this kind of whitewater where things are going to be worse or just as awful for a while we are trying to get across this river and survive. Okay, so all anybody cares about when they're in the whitewater rapids is survival. It is super traumatic. You are not thinking about, let me choose which destination I'm going to. You're just like, I just want to get through this. And what people are usually thinking is, I want to get through this and I want to recover. So on this side, people are mostly thinking that what's available is recovery. We're going to get through this really hard time and we're going to come out okay. We're going to get ourselves together. We're going to build back a business. We're going to, serve our clients again, etc. And we're going to wind up okay. The thing is when we go through big events like this shore is not recovery. That's not what this is about. Because in these whitewater rapids, we transform. We are so up against challenge that to survive, we must transform. it's kind of like the whitewater rapids of transformation. To survive this, we need to do a lot of things differently than we've never done before. We have to approach it differently. We have to have more endurance. We have to learn new skills. We have to scramble. We have to be okay with things not going well. We don't have a lot of choice in here, right? So we are going to go through a tough time, and we are going to learn things we never knew we could do. It's like, that is the gift of this. The song or the quote of, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger, right? That is actually true. It's actually very true. And so if we can survive this, we are going to get a big payoff. We are going to be different people with different skills, different knowledge, different experiences. We are not going to be able to create and recover the same thing that we had. That's not going to be it. We are not going to wind up in recovery here. We are going to wind up in discovery. This is where, when we get through something this difficult, we then are going to land in a new world with all kinds of new opportunities, things that we couldn't have seen before, things that we wouldn't have been strong enough before. We are going to learn things about, our worlds and our teams, especially if we go through this together, which we want teams to do. They come out on this side so much stronger and so much better at innovating, at taking risks, at having confidence. So on this side, what you get is a whole new world, one that you cannot predict when you're going through here. Can't predict it here, can't predict it when you're in the rapids. You're going to land, and then you're going to be like, oh my gosh, this is so different than I could have ever expected. And that's going to be a really good thing. So what I want people to take some heart with is, this part is hard, but it's worth it. It's like, this part is, we need the endurance. It's, if you've ever been whitewater rafting, you know that you can't just exit the boat anytime you want. You're in it. Like, there's nowhere to go. Like, you have to stay along for the ride. And that's the part of, if you can stay along for the ride and endure the emotions, endure the fear, endure the pain, and utilize each other, supporting each other, for giving each other some encouragement. This is how groups get through really difficult times. It's actually, when you're in a really difficult time, it's easier to show up for somebody else than it is for yourself. It's a human quality. Works really well here. And so we want these teams to be able to come through, because what they do get on the other side is extraordinary and worth it. Are there some people who aren't going to, jump into this whitewater raft or into these same whitewater rapids? Yeah, they can jump off in another direction, and they're going to have their own rapids. Might be different than the ones a majority of a team take, but no. The point is, once a traumatic business event happens, nobody can stay here. This is over. Now we have to move on to something that we don't know how it's going to turn out. But luckily, we're human and we can get through a lot, and then we get to find out. So that's what I wanted to share with you today. And I look forward to seeing you next time for our 10 years in 10 minutes talks. Bye, you guys. To learn more about this episode's topic, pick up a copy of my book, The People Part, at your favorite book retailer or at anniehymanpratt.com.